Hey, this is Warren Sprouse. You're on the Bible Forum. We're here every Sunday night from 8 until 10 p.m. live. We talk to you about God, about life, and about the Word of God. We put it all together. And then it's recorded, and you can get it from the website later, or you can go to the YouTube page and get that, or you can go to the Facebook page or the Twitter page. There's things you can do. The Middle East is heating up. This is the first Sunday in February 2017. The Trump administration will no longer tolerate Iran's provocations that threaten our interests, and that according to National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. He said the days of turning a blind eye to Iran's hostile and belligerent actions toward the United States and the world community are over. This was a White House statement that Flynn made, suggesting that more concrete action could follow if Iran does not curb its ballistic missile program and continues support in regional proxy conflicts. These are the initial steps, according to the White House, that Iran needs to take before we start to think in terms of them nicey-nicey. The Trump administration is not going to play patty cake with the Iranian administration. They're taking what they call a larger strategic review of how we as a nation should respond to these people and what they're doing. Trump noted just this week that the Obama deal with Iran specified a range of their nuclear rockets. In these deals that were hammered out, they specified, yes, you can build the rockets, but they can't be for anything over X number of miles. And they made sure that these rockets could not reach Europe. But they did not make sure they could not reach Israel. And that's kind of important. And then there's the payments. The United States has paid Iran a bunch of money of late. That's how they're able to do all of this. They're buying 600 million? I've forgotten now the number. 600's in there somewhere. $1 million worth of Boeing aircraft. People here in Charleston are tickled to death. They build those things here, and they want to build more. We gave them that money. They're using the money to fund their nuclear research. $4.2 billion in Iranian assets confiscated by the United States when the Shah fell back in the 70s was recently given back to Iran with interest. $7 billion in what is called Sanctions Relief, just simply handed to the Iranians by the Obama regime. Now, economists claim the number is closer to $20 billion, given the confidence boost that America gave Iran in these transactions. The global markets see, oh, they're back. And Iran is now pumping 1 million barrels a day. And the world community will probably never, ever again sanction Iran. And to thank us for all of this money and for our hard work in making them look legitimate, they continue to harass our ships in the Gulf. The capture of 2 Navy boats and the humiliation of their personnel several months ago, last year. The support of the takeover of Yemen, from which came an attack on a Saudi frigate just last week. Experts believe that the folks who did the assaulting were mistaken. They probably thought it was one of our frigates. The USS Cole has re-entered the area and is now up around where all of this took place. You remember several years ago, they ran a boat into the side of that thing and blew it up. It was the funniest thing I'd seen. They put that boat up on the deck of another ship and took it home. It was great. It's back. Reuters reported just a few days ago, last Friday, that the United States has sent a Navy destroyer to patrol off the coast of Yemen to protect the waterways from the Houthi militia aligned with Iran in the midst of all of the heightened tension between Washington and Tehran. I mentioned the Cole. It's back in the vicinity of the Bab al-Mandab Strait. That's off southwestern Yemen. It'll carry out patrols, including escorting vessels. The Sunday Times of Israel reported exercise dubbed United Trident were led by the United Kingdom this week and included ships from US, France, and Australia. The Navy's practiced fighting off enemy aerial incursions and mine clearing, as well as live fire drills, according to the British Daily Telegraph. The final drill featured 13 ships from the Allied navies sailing in formation with helicopters flying overhead. British naval officials told the Telegraph they were meant to promote stability in the Persian Gulf and to ensure what they called the free flow of commerce through the Straits of Hormuz. Not at all in response to Iran's nuclear missile tests. Right. In more Middle Eastern news, the UN Education, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, we call it UNESCO, believes Israel is an occupying power. They have believed this for decades. A power that uses, according to them, right-wing extremists to badger innocent Muslims. Now, with that bias, they also, quote, firmly deplore the continuous storming of the Al-Aqsa Mosque by Israeli right-wing extremists and uniformed forces. What, you didn't read about any of that? Oh yeah, it happens. It happens when Israelis travel to the Temple Mount. The uniformed forces are Israeli police, sometimes soldiers, who protect those Israelis and often stop them from doing things contrary to the agreements they've reached. Sometimes there are squabbles and skirmishes. But the military doesn't start that stuff. They're not there to do that. You see, Jordan has jurisdiction over the Temple Mount. But the mosque is on that Temple Mount. And Israelis have an obligation to keep the peace where they can and how they can. Last week, newly installed UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres sent a very different message during an interview on Israel Public Radio. When asked about the controversial resolution adopted under his predecessor, Ban Ki-moon, he said, quote, "It's clear as the sun is clear that the temple, which was demolished by the Romans, was a Jewish temple." He went on to say, "No one can deny the fact that Jerusalem is holy to 3 religions today." That is an amazing statement coming from the United Nations head. They haven't said stuff like that in my lifetime. But what does it mean? Is the UN starting to see the light on this issue? Don't bet on it. Israel's in the process, you've seen it on the news, of trying to move some settlers, as they call them, off of their land and put their own people in there. You see, Israel lays claim to what's called the West Bank. The West Bank is all that territory west of the Jordan River in what is traditionally Israel. This is all due to an event in 1967 when 7 Arab nations attacked Israel and lost. Israel conquered all the lands west of the Jordan River, all of the lands down into the Sinai Peninsula, all the way to the Red Sea. They gave back most of it. The exception was the Temple Mount. Jordan controls that. Israel remains there and keeps a presence on that mount. But the settlements in question are that parcel of land west of the Jordan River, running, I guess it's north now of Jerusalem proper, on the hillside. And they currently house Palestinians. Now, there were no Palestinians around until 1947, when Israel got the mandate and were able to take up residence in their homeland. Suddenly, all of these tribes and different nationalities and Egyptians and all sorts of people suddenly became Palestinians, like they'd been there forever. Israel is really having to resettle the people that are there in order to build the housing for Jews. And they're up against this because Israel's population is growing. It's growing because more and more Jews are coming home. And more so just in the last few years. The persecutions, the terrorist attacks in Europe and so forth. It's called Elia, and it's every Jew's right. Now, the folks in this parcel of land under discussion has been unwilling to leave. It appears Israel has succeeded in getting them to go. Some of them had to be removed bodily. And now they're announcing that it'll take about 3 weeks or so to tear down what's there, clean it up, and build something new. Here at home, we have a Homeland Security chief under the Trump administration who is suddenly rethinking government money for an organization called the Council of American Islamic Relations. We know it as CAIR, C-A-I-R. CAIR is a notorious Islamic supremacist group that masquerades as a civil rights organization. And under the Trump administration, Homeland Security Chief John Kelly is suspending government money to aid this group. Now, Reuters reported that a meeting was held last week where CAIR was asked what the money would be used for. And in that meeting, they were told that the money might not be delivered, even though it was appointed by Congress and the grant recipients had been notified of that fact in the final days of the Obama administration. Reuters said that Kelly is reviewing the matter. Hoda Hawa, Director of Policy for the Muslim Public Affairs Council, told Reuters she was informed by DHS officials last week of the intent to refocus the money toward Islamic terrorism. That is concerning, she says, for us because they are targeting a faith group and casting it under a net of suspicion. Can I tell you a little secret? Islam is not a faith group. How's that? We lump them in as if they are Christians or Catholics or Jews or whatever. They're not a faith group. Islam is a religion of law, strict law. Violate that law, they cut body parts off of you. Violate that law, they kill you. Violate that law, they'll kill their wife, they'll kill their mother, they'll kill their children. It's not a faith system. This is an ages-old conflict between Ishmael and Israel. And it continues, and it will continue until Jesus comes.